The ongoing fighting in Sudan has forced thousands of Sudanese to flee the country. Chad is one of those neighboring countries that many are crossing over to for safety. We spoke with Laura Locastro, the UNHCR representative in Chad, about the situation there.
I can tell you actually what I saw with my own eyes because I was at the border just a few days ago on Tuesday, and then we visited one of the three sites where we have had the most of arrivals, and I could see the refugees, indeed large families. There were majority of women and children, but also the husbands. So basically the entire village in Sudan, in Darfur, has completely emptied from the reports that we heard. And the majority of the people have moved to Chad. So the people were reconforted by the fact that in Chad there is safety and security, and the authorities are there, and they are welcoming the refugees. However, they just settled a few kilometers away from the border in villages, in three poor villages where there is basically no services available, not even for the Chadian populations, because these are very small villages close to the border. So there is no access to water, there is no access to sanitation, to education, to health. So the families have been basically selecting a tree per family, large families. They brought with them some belongings, whatever they could bring and carry with them, even sometimes the bed and some blankets, and that's all. So they are trying to use the last bit of resources in terms of food, but they were complaining about the lack of potable water because indeed there is no water wells, and then also the fact of the shelters because they are basically sleeping under the sky, in the sky. And for the moment, it's hot, but very nasty as well. And this can provoke a lot of diseases. Okay, Chad, we cannot probably really say they're not set up. I mean, at the border, of course, like many other countries, they don't have the adequate facilities, and that's why we work very closely with them. But remember that in Chad, there are already 400,000 Sudanese refugees that are hosted in 13 refugee camps and many villages. So Chad is very much used to host refugees. The only thing is that, of course, for the moment, the refugees don't want to move from close to the border. It's like if some of them have still the hope that the situation will calm down and will be able to rejoin their land, their houses that they left behind. And with the local authorities, we discussed and we said, of course, this, okay, could be acceptable for a few weeks, but then they will have to be relocated. So that's the plan. The plan is that, and this plan is started to be studied now. So while we provide the emergency assistance with the little resources available, we are also working on a relocation plan to one of the existing refugee camps or even more, or we may have even to open a new camp, which of course will be very unfortunate.